It's Monday of the off season. That means it's mock draft Monday. Let's jump right into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, in this video today, it's going to be a 7-round no-trade mock draft, which I do every single Monday of the entire Ravens offseason from when the season ends until the NFL draft. It's a lot of fun. I have fun doing it. Let me know your guys' players that you want me to watch, guys that you really like when I draft them, and players you think that, if I draft them, hey, you shouldn't do this. I'm totally fine with whatever you guys say. I like looking into the players that you guys suggest. You can see the entire offseason, they evolve and my drafts evolve as I watch more and more players, especially, pre-combine to post-combine, and I see where players, I think they may eventually fall. It's a lot of fun. Today's mock draft, I did it on Pro Football Network. One of these days I'll get the PFF subscription and I'll do one on PFF, but this overall I feel like is the best one available right now. In the past years, the Draft Network has been my favorite one, but they don't have the mock draft simulator right now. I don't even know if they'll have it this year. So I guess we're rocking with PFN. But first off, first pick in the draft, 30th overall, I went with Kingsley Sumataya. Now, this is somebody that last draft I drafted in the second round. And it was somebody that I felt like, watching it, I thought that the Baltimore Ravens would love this guy. I feel like the Ravens would love him because he's a physical specimen. He's coming out of BYU, which, yes, it is a smaller school, but at the same time, you can get very quality NFL players out of there, and he was a dominant force. It may take him a little bit to adjust, but he's not the project type of player that I felt like Daniel Faalele was coming out of college. And if him and Daniel Faalele are able to become the starting tackles of the Baltimore Ravens, I'd be very happy with that. He moved up in the draft boards, and I really liked him when I drafted him last time. Some guys available in the first round, that I didn't pick. A.D. Mitchell was there, who I do like, but I don't love for the first round. The tackle out of Arizona, last name is Taylor. I'm blanking on his first name right now. He was available, but I just really like Kingsley. I think his size and athleticism and physicality is really what the Ravens are looking for. And I think that's a good option. Next up, pick 62. Now, I like wide receiver in the second round. I didn't feel like there were any receivers that I was, a big fan of that were available for the pick that they were. And so then I started looking, I was like, okay, what else do we need? I looked at cornerbacks. There wasn't anybody that I was falling in love with. I looked at guards. I don't really want to go guard in the second round. And then I started looking at the running backs. And I have a RB1 that I love. Now, I haven't watched all the running backs. I will, consistently evaluate and make sure I have a better understanding of each back every single week. But right now, my favorite running back in this draft class is Braylon Allen. I drafted him with pick 62. Jonathan Brooks was available, who most people have as their RB1. Jonathan Brooks is out of Texas. Braylon Allen is out of Wisconsin. He is going to be 20 years old as a rookie, and he's a dominant, explosive running back with good size. And he is somebody that, yes, he's very young, but he is incredibly dynamic. And unlike most other Wisconsin running backs when they get to the league, most of the time, like Jonathan Taylor, Melvin Gordon, all of those guys, they were running to the ground at Wisconsin. Braylon Allen wasn't like that. Right? He's going to be coming in very young, very fresh legs, very explosive, and very, very good at running back. And if the Ravens can get him and pair him with Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill, I think that's a great trio of running backs that the Baltimore Ravens can use for their future. And I don't think they would need to re-sign Gus Edwards. I don't think they would need to re-sign J.K. Dobbins. They went with J.K. Dobbins in the second round, who I thought was a really good draft pick. Ended up getting injured a lot, so it's difficult to judge if it was the right pick or not. But Braylon Allen, I think, is a similar situation where it's just the talent is too good to pass up in the second round. Next up, pick 93. I went with Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon, a bigger cornerback that people think may play slot corner or safety. I think the Ravens can absolutely use that type of player because I don't necessarily think Marcus Williams is going to be here. He might be here this year, but in long term, I just don't think the Ravens want to keep paying that. I think they'll try and get off of that contract. So Who do you sub in at safety? We don't really know. It could be Geno Stone if we decide to re-sign him. But slot cornerback, we could absolutely use that. We don't know how long Marlon's going to be here. And Kyrie Jackson is big, physical, and really fast. So, you could just move him all across the defense, similar to how we utilize Kyle Hamilton as a safety that we bring up and have him play nickel and things like that sometimes. Kyrie Jackson could be a guy that's playing corner, but every once in a while, if you need it, you can slide him back to safety. He can play over top. He's got the size and speed to be able to do that. So I do really like his game for a third-round player. I think it could definitely be worth a shot. He's playing on an Oregon defense that played in a lot of big games. And so I think that was really worth it. Next up, pick 130. Now, we do have two picks almost back-to-back right here, 130 and 133. First pick, I went with wide receiver Javon Baker. This guy's out of UCF. He's big. He's 6'1", and he can make acrobatic catches. He's got speed. He can get behind the defense. But really what I drafted him for was those hands and acrobatic catches that he was able to make on the sideline, in the end zone, down the middle of the field. That's something that the Ravens can definitely utilize, especially out of a bigger body. Not saying he's not 6'5", he's not 6'4", he's not Keon Coleman or Mike Evans or any of those massive guys, but he plays big and he has the athleticism to be able to compete. And I think him next to Bateman and Flowers is a good complement to what they bring to the table, right? I felt like Lamar Jackson hasn't had a player in his entire career at the wide receiver position where he can give him a chance on the sideline, down the field. 3rd and 10, pressure's coming. What do? I can just throw it up and have a chance that he makes a play. He hasn't had that. So many of the great quarterbacks have just had a guy where like, oh no, where am I going? Mahomes has been able to do that with, he was able to do that with Tyreek Hill, throw it up. He did that to the Ravens with MVS. That's how the Ravens lost, was Mahomes gets pressure. He throws it up because he had a guy he felt like could get to the football. Javon Baker, I feel like, is somebody that if Lamar's in trouble, he can get him out of that. And we need players like that. Next up, pick 133. I went with Trevin Wallace. I'm not 100% sure on how to do that. He's a linebacker that is explosive. He's coming out of Kentucky, but he is somebody that is going to attack the football. What does that sound like? Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Zachary Orr. That's exactly what they want. I think we need a backup. I don't think we're re-signing Queen. I think Trenton Simpson will step in as the starter, but I think we need backups that are going to fly towards the football with athleticism, with power, with speed, with furiosity. We need effort. He's going to bring that. Obviously he's young. He's going to have to learn to mold into the linebacker position, but he has some traits that the Ravens wanted linebacker. He has some traits that I like. I think he's a good option. Pick 163. I do want to get another corner in this draft because Kyrie's kind of a hybrid. I went with Quentin Newsome, cornerback out of Nebraska. He's somebody that is athletic. He can play the ball. He can attack the quarterback. He can attack, players with the ball in their hands, going for tackles. But, really overall, when I'm looking at him, I'm like, okay, he played in the Big Ten. He played against some big-time receivers, and he can go out there and he can make plays. He's played a fair bit of zone in college. But overall, good size as well. I think he's around 6'1". Those are the types of things I'm looking for. Getting more size in the cornerback room because I feel like our corners, Pepe and, the guys that we've been signing, they've been small. I like having some bigger guys, especially on the backside. That's why I really liked when we brought in Chris Westry. Big, fast corner that, when you have a big, fast wide receiver, we have someone that can at least match that. We already have Brandon Stevens. We have Marlon Humphrey. If Marlon leaves, Brandon Stevens is really our only big corner. Quentin Newsome, Kyrie Jackson can both add that element to the Baltimore Ravens defense. Next up, pick 225, round 6. I went with a guard out of NC State. Name is Dylan McMahon. I know you guys don't want to hear me talk about, offensive linemen, but, really, I'll be pretty brief. He's coming out of a good football conference, the ACC. He's physical. NC State traditionally likes to run the football. Last year, not this most recent season, but 2 years ago, they were an elite rushing attack. They were decent again this year. This is something that, hey, the Ravens need lineman depth. He can bring that Maybe he can eventually become a starter, but really this is a depth draft pick to compete with guys like Andrew Voorhees and Ben Cleveland and John Simpson, whoever we decide to bring back. If we bring back Kevin Zeitler, I don't know. But getting guard depth is never going to be a bad thing in my opinion. And final pick in the draft, I went with Jalen Key out of Alabama. He's a safety. He played 4 years at, I believe, UAB at a smaller school, then transferred over to Alabama. Never allowed a touchdown in his entire career, including Alabama and his first 4 years at his original school. That's always something that I like to hear. Again, another position that I don't think we have a lot of depth at is safety. We lost Kyle Hamilton for a couple of games off and on this year, and we struggled on defense without Kyle Hamilton. Obviously, he's the best safety in the NFL, but next to him, Geno Stone, Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams has had injury problems. We don't know if we're re-signing Geno Stone. The Ravens love to run 3 defensive back set, 3 safety sets. Get a guy like Jalen Key who may be able to sub in, and also Kyrie Jackson, another guy you can sub in. I think that brings versatility. Jalen Key's very athletic, but again, he doesn't allow the big play, doesn't allow the big touchdowns. Again, coming out of Alabama, I'm never going to be disappointed if anybody drafts a player out of Alabama. Unless it's Mac Jones. I did not like Mac Jones. But defensive players, non-skill positions, they're almost always dominant. So, that's something I'm really looking forward to. I think this is a pretty solid draft class. I think I like this more than the original draft class I had. I'll run through the names again. Kingsley Sumatia, Braylon Allen, Kyrie Jackson, Javon Baker, Trevin Wallace, Quentin Newsome, Dylan McMahon, Jalen Key. I strongly urge you guys to check out Javon Baker. I think he's really fun to watch out of UCF. But thank you all so much. Subscribe for more Daily Ravens content. Let me know your guys' mock drafts so I can check them out as well. And I'll see all of you again next time.